Okay, so now we're going to start to develop our project. First, the most important thing is we've got to determine what our levels are, and then our grid system. So first, we're going to look at levels. To do so, we'll go to our elevation view. So if we come over to the project browser on the left-hand side, and there's our elevation heading, we'll expand that, and we can select east, north, south, or west. It's not important because, again, we're working on one single project. So double click on east, and by default, we'll have level 0 at a level of 0 and level 1 at a level of 4,000. And we are working in metric, so this is 4,000 millimeters. So first thing I'm going to do is just select one of the levels. And in here we get a series of information, which is typical to nearly all of the components that we will be using. So there's some familiarities here that when we were using the walls. So for example, there's a temporary dimension. We have some padlocks and so on. But I'll go through each individual point now. So first one, on the left-hand side, we have a little box with a tick. On the right-hand side, we have a box with nothing inside. So if I untick, you'll notice that the bubble disappears. If I tick on the right-hand side, the bubble will reappear. So it's just to change the position of the bubble from left to right. Next is here's the actual elevation bubble itself. This is just a default symbol that's been provided by Autodesk. You can, of course, create your own to implement them to your own drawings. Next is an open grip, so it's an open blue circle there. If you click and drag, we can extend our levels. So we can extend them out or retract. You'll also notice that there's a dashed blue line, which is a temporary vertical dimension. So all of the levels are locked onto each other. If we wanted to move one level by itself without being locked to the others, we'll simply click on the padlock. It's now unlocked from the lower level, and I can now move it freely. To lock it back to level 0, quite simply click the grip, move it over, so I get that temporary vertical dimension. Once that appears, I'll let go, and it's been padlocked again, and then they're locked together. Next, we have level 1. This is the name of our level. Below that, where we have 4,000, that's the actual level itself. The dashed blue line here is the actual level line. Again, we have the similarities on the left-hand side, so there's our open grip or padlock. So to adjust the level, first I'll select the level I want to move. And I have two options. I can either select the level text, where we have 4,000. I can then enter in a new level, pressing enter. Or I can use the temporary dimension, select, and bring it back up to 4,000. Again, there's another option. Again, once I select the level, you'll notice my properties palette changes and takes on the properties of the level. In there as well, I can change the elevation. So select 4,000, bring it back to 3,000. For the properties to take effect of that level, we'd either come down to press apply or simply move the cursor into the drawing, and then those changes will take effect. So to create a new level, I'll just press escape to come back out of that so we've got nothing selected. I'm going to pan up in my architecture tab, down the very end here, the second last panel. In there we have our level. So I'll select my level tool. You'll see the contextual tab appears with our modification. There's our draw panel, so these are different ways that we can place our level. In the options bar here, we have a couple of options that I'll go over in a few moments. But just to get us started, first I'll line up with the temporary vertical dimension. Click once to start. Move my cursor to the next point. Again, when I see that temporary vertical dimension, click again to place and escape to finish. So because I pressed escape once, I'm still inside the level tool. So if I press escape again, I'm back into the main model. So to make changes to this level, I'll click on the level. I want my bubbles to be on the same side, so I'll come to my show hide bubble box there, tick it on the left, tick it off on the right. Okay, so I'm going to pan up again. So I'm going to go into a bit more detail of placing the level. So again, pressing escape, come back to the main model, clicking on my level tool, and in here I'll go over my options. So the very first one there is make plan view, and that's turned on right now. So when I place my level 2 here, if you come over to the project browser, under the floor plans, we have level 0, level 1, and now we have level 2. So if I turn that off and place another level, which is level 3, again, I'll just turn my bubbles on. Level 3 is being created. You'll see in the project browser under floor plans, it doesn't exist. As well, you'll notice that it's now black. When we create a level and it's blue, it means that it's an active floor plan. When it's black, it is not an active floor plan. So the reason that we would create these levels would be, say, for roof ridges, eave details, and so on. So we can place levels in the drawing for us to attach to, but we won't generate floor plans. There's other ways that we can do that as well. So I'm going to delete level 3. I can create a new level without creating a floor plan by simply selecting the level 2, using the copy tool and copying it up. Again, we'll get level 4, and you'll notice that it's black. So the level hasn't been created. So if I use the copy tool and copy a level, it will not automatically be a floor plan. If I wanted to copy my level 2 up and to make it a floor plan, I can select it. In the modify section, we have create, and there's create similar. So this works with all components, not just levels. So if we wanted to create a similar wall, create a similar door, floor, anything that we put into the project, we simply select the create similar tool, and then we can place it. And you'll notice it's turned blue, and my floor plan is now level 5. And I'll select it and delete. So again, I'm going to place another level. When we have the make plan view turned on, we'll select the options bar here, and it's just giving me the option of what type of plan views do I want to be created. So by default, we'll always have ceiling plan, floor plan, and structural plan. You can determine if you want those to be selected or not. So I'll press OK. Now if I place my new level, you'll see now my floor plans, we have level 6. My ceiling plans, we have level 6. And in my structural plans, we have a level 6 as well as level 2 that we created earlier. So if you're creating a new level, you can, if you only wanted one or the other, you can simply just select and delete. Now select and delete level 6. As well, when placing a level, when we draw, we can add an offset. So if I have an offset of, say, 1,000, when I draw and place, my level is offset below 1,000 right now. So if I hit the space bar, it will be 1,000 above. Okay, so for our project, we're going to have 3 different levels. Our ground floor at level 0, our first floor at level 3,000, and our roof level at 6,000. So first, we're going to change our level heights. So level 0, we'll leave it 0. Level 1 will change to 3,000. And level 2 will change to 6,000. So if we select the level, we can either select the text or the temporary dimension. So obviously I'll make that 3,000 because we're going to have level 3 at 3,000 plus 3,000 will make 6,000. Or you can select the text 6,000 and change it there. Next, we'll change our level text. So again, select level 0. And if we type in ground floor, When I press enter or click away from the text, I'll get this little pop-up. Would you like to rename corresponding views? So if I press yes, my level 0 in the project browser will change to be ground floor. If I select no, level 0 will remain as level 0 in the project browser, but will change in the model. So I want it to change in the project browser as well. So I'll press yes, and you'll notice my floor plans is now changed to ground floor. Do the same for level 1, change it to first floor. So I can either press enter or click away. Again, I'll get the pop-up, pressing yes. And for the top, we'll just make that roof and click away and yes. So in my model at the bottom of that ground floor, first floor, roof level. In my floor plans though, it's organized alphabetically. So first floor is first, then ground floor and roof. So this isn't something I want to happen. So one little way around it is to change the name and add in a numerical value at the front of the text. So I'm going to add in 1. And yes, I want to change. Again, first. Yes, roof is 3. And yes. So now in my project browser, my floor plans are organized how I want them to be. And then I can extend out all 3 together by using that grip, and they're all attached. As well, when we're creating our levels, if we have one level on top of the other, like for example, what I'll do is I'll just quickly copy this above. And if my text is overlaying another text, be it for whatever reason, what we can do is we can add in an elbow so we can read the text clearly. On level 7 there, if I select it, we have that little symbol there, which is our elbow. So if I click, it'll generate the elbow. By default, it will always go down. So what I can do is just grab that grip and drag it up. And then I can adjust its position even more, right under the 7, like so. So the level itself doesn't actually change, as it's still 6920, but just I've moved the bubble and text away from the roof level so I can read it clearly. Then to remove the elbow, I'll come on the outer grip here and just pull it down until I feel it jump. When it does, I'll just let go and the elbow is removed. So I'll just select that level 7 and delete. So if we double click the wheel, it will zoom extents and bring our levels into the picture. Next, we're going to add our grid system. So to do that, we'll go over to our ground floor plan. So back over to the project browser, floor plans, and double click on ground floor. So to place our grid, it's in the architecture tab. Again, down the very end in the datum panel. So we've just placed our level. Below that is our grid. So I'll click to activate the tool. And the contextual tab will appear. So this is our couple of methods of how we can place it. Either by straight line, we can do start, end, radius, center, end, arc, or pick line. As well, when we're placing, we can add an offset. So to place the grid, again, it's like placing a level. Click once to start, drag the cursor, and click again to finish. I'm going to press escape just to come out of the draw function, and escape again to finish the grid. So if I select my grid, you notice again we have the same features as the levels. So we have our tick boxes there for our bubble, the opening grip there to extend, and there's the elbow. With the grid, again, it'll be by default, we'll start with 1. When I place my next level, it will automatically be 2. But for this project, we're going to start with our vertical grids alphabetically. So if we just select the text by clicking, and our text will appear like so, and we'll type in A. Again, pressing enter to finish, and escape. Once I've done that, I'll go back to the grid, click. So right now I've just been prompted to save the project. So in Revit, we're able to specify how often we want the software to prompt us to save. I set mine to 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes I'll get this little display screen and it's going to prompt me to save. So I'll just select save. And again, now I'm just going to place my grid. So lining up with the end. So I get that temporary vertical dimension. Click to start and click to finish. It's automatically named itself B. So I'll press escape. So again, when I select B, you'll see I get my temporary dimensions, my padlock, my grip again. So all same features. So what I'm going to do now is going to start to place all of the horizontal grid lines. Where I'm getting this information from is from the PDF 001 grid system. In there, I've given you all of the dimensions between each one of the grid lines. So first off, between A and B, it's 2000. So to change the distance between A and B, I want to move grid line B. So I select grid line B. And you'll see there my temporary dimensions, it's 3900. So I'll select that and change it to 2000. And I can either press escape on the keyboard or just click away on the screen. So next I'm going to place grid line C. So again, I'll click on grid, click to place, click to finish, and escape. So again, I can click on the grid, use the temporary dimensions here to enter in 6000. Or to speed things up, you'll notice between C and D is 3600. So when I go click on grid, I'll hover over to get my vertical dimension. I can move my cursor up until I see 3600 displayed in the temporary dimension. So when I click to start and place, I know that is now placed accurately at 3600. And next between D and E is 4400. So same method, moving the cursor until I get 4400. Click and click again to finish. Again, the last is between E and F is 8000. Click and click. So there we have A to F. At the moment, ignore the elevation bubbles because we can move them later. Next, we're going to move on to grid lines 1, 2, 3, and 4. So same process as before, click on grid, click to start, click to finish. You'll notice it will automatically take on G, but we want to relabel them as 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll select G text, enter 1, and now every time we place a new grid, it will automatically be 2, 3, and 4. So grid line between 1 and 2 is 7000. So again, it's moving my cursor across so it comes to 7000. Click to place. Next is 8000. And 7200. Because I'm zoomed out quite a lot, you can see my temporary dimensions is jumping from 7000 to 8000. So how I can go into increments of 100, if I zoom in, you can see the temporary dimensions are now going in increments of 100. So 7200 is what I'm looking for. Click to start, click to finish. And you'll notice again, my bubbles are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So next I'm going to just move those elevation bubbles out of the way. So I've got two options. I'll click. Once it's highlighted, I'll get the drag symbol and then I'll just click and drag it away. Click and drag. You can also use the arrow keys on the keyboard to adjust the position and double tap on the wheel to zoom extents. So now we just have to extend out our horizontal grid line and the vertical as well. We can extend out slightly. And again, just adjust the position of the bubble. Now that we have our grid, we're now going to apply some structural columns to the grid. So to do that, we're in the Architecture tab. We're in here in the Build panel. And there is our column. So if I click and select my column, you'll see that the Contextual tab appears. My various different methods of placing them. Again, I have my options bar for further adjustments. So first off is my placement panel. So I can have them either vertical placed or at a slant. If we wanted to do them multiple times, if we select Add Grid and selected the grid itself, it will place a column at each intersection. Or we also have Add Columns. So if you were to place architectural columns, which we'll do in a few moments, you can also place structural columns at those points. Next is Tag on Placement. So every time you place a column, a tag will automatically appear. You will become more familiar with tags as we work our way through the project. In the options bar there, we have, if we tick on, we can rotate the column after we place it. And then the same with our walls. Next is the constraints. So if we have depth, when we place a column, it will start on our ground floor level and it will go below. So it will go down to our basement level. If I change that to height, now my column will be placed at the ground level and it will go above. Next is just specifying those constraints. So now you can see our floor levels. So we have our ground floor, first floor, roof. And if we select unconnected, we can specify a height. So we'll specify a height at first floor. And next, if you open up the PDF 002 column layout, in there we'll show you the position of each of the columns. So the first position is A2. So if I come up there as my A grid becomes highlighted in blue, and 2 also becomes blue. So when both of them are highlighted in blue, when I click, my column will automatically be centered at that intersection. Same again for the next one, we have A3. Again, both of those grid lines are highlighted in blue. So click and it is centered. B, we have 1, 2, 3. C is 1, 2, 3, 4. D is 1, 2, 3. E is 2, 3, 4. And F is 3 and 4. Double escape to finish. Best way to view this is we will go and toggle over to our 3D view now just to see what we've done. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is to go to the quick access toolbar at the top, select the 3D house, and it will generate our 3D view. So to navigate to 3D view is again, go click and hold the wheel to pan. Scroll in and out with the wheel, so move the wheel in and out. And if we want to orbit, hold down Shift, hold in the wheel, and we can orbit. If you want to orbit around a particular spot, select a component, hold down Shift, hold in the wheel, and now everything will orbit around that component. So there's our columns. So to come out of the 3D view, we've got two options. We can close down that window by clicking close, or we can just go back, double clicking on the ground floor. Next, we want to place architectural columns. So the difference between the structural columns and the architectural columns. So a structural column adds a vertical load-bearing element to the building model, while the architectural columns are purely for aesthetics, so they will not be included in any loading calculations. To select the architectural column, we'll come back to our Architecture tab, Build panel. We have our column tool, and there's a little arrow underneath. We'll click on the arrow. First is the structural column, which we've just used. Next is the architectural. So we'll select that. Again, you'll see the contextual tab will appear, so if the tab changes green, a few options we can use. I won't go into detail of what they are just yet. We will, of course, cover this in the course. Next is the option bar. Again, we can rotate after placement, how we want it to be constrained, and room bounding is something we'll cover again later on in the course. With the structural column, what we did is we used the column which has been provided to us by Autodesk. So it's like the default one in the type selector. What we want to do is we want to change our architectural column, as you see here in the type selector on the left-hand side in the properties palette. It's currently set to columns rectangular 450 by 600 millimeters. I want to change that to 600 by 600. And how we do that is we'll select the type selector, and in there we have 3 different types. So we have our 450 by 450, 450 by 600, 600 by 600. So we're going to select that, and now we're going to just place that architectural column over the points at which the structural columns were. So again, same process. Once both grid lines become highlighted blue, we'll click to place. Again, refer to PDF 002 column layout for those positions. And if you wanted to get a better look at what you've drawn, click on our 3D view again, and there's our architectural columns. I'll close that down. So with the architectural columns, they're just a blank canvas. So what that means is when we attach a wall to that architectural column takes on the properties of whatever wall abuts to that. So later on, we're going to draw our external wall around those columns. When we hit off it, it will automatically take on the properties. So it will turn into a block, plasterboard, brickwork, whatever we put to it. So it saves us time detailing around every single structural column in the project. Now that we have all of the architectural and structural columns placed in the grid, we're now going to draw our external wall. So to follow along, if you open up PDF 003 external walls. So if we go to our wall tool, again, I'm being prompted to save. So yes, I'm going to save. So in my type selector, what I'm going to do now is change the type. So by default, I've got the external wall 102 mil. Brickwork, 75 insulation, 100 block, 12 plasterboard. One we're going to be using today is the wall exterior, 102 brick, 50 air, which is our cavity, 45 insulation, 100 block, and 12 plasterboard. So click to select. So how we're going to draw our wall today, we're going to be using our line. In our options bar, we're going to specify our constraints under height, constrain them to the first floor level. We're going to specify our location line as the core face exterior. So to briefly run over the cores of our wall and to show you where our core center line is, our core face exterior, and our interior. What I'll do is I'll quickly just open up a browser. This is something we'll cover later on in the course, but just to give you an idea where our cores are. So here's our makeup of the wall, and there you'll see is our cores. And our core boundaries are positioned around our main structure, which is our concrete block. So that there, highlighted in blue, is our concrete block, which is the main structural element of our wall. So above that, we have our external or exterior face for our core boundary, which is that blue line, and our interior core boundary, which is that blue line again. So we're going to specify our wall location line to be the outer face of that block work, which will be this section here. So I'm going to change our location line to wall face exterior. Yes, I want it to be in a chain. I don't have any offset, no radius, and yes, I want them to join. So to get started, I'm going to come down to grid line F3, attached to the outer corner of that architectural column. Click once to start. If I move my cursor up, you'll see the brickwork is on the left-hand side. The blockwork is on the right-hand side of my core boundary. If I was to go around the right-hand side of the building, you can see that it's been mirrored across. So now my block is on the outside of the building, my brick is on the inside. If I wanted to run this way around the building, I could just simply press spacebar to flip it. But I'm going to go back and run around in a clockwise manner. So coming up and just clicking on the bottom left-hand corner of this column, again, bottom left-hand corner. When I get that square symbol, that is my snap symbol. So I know that I'm attaching to the edge. So I'm going to run right up to grid line 2, leaving the columns on the left-hand side for now. Move across, down, and just follow what's on the PDF. So when I come to the end, what I can do is just simply come up to the wall when I get that dashed through line to click in place, and it'll automatically join. And now over to the left-hand side of the building, I can just click on the outer side of that column again and place. And you'll see that they'll automatically join together. And again, the block work will run straight through the brickwork, going to the next boundary, which is the block again. Again, this is something that we will repeat again and again. And there's our external walls placed. Again, we can use our 3D view to check it out. So then just to continue on tidying up the detail, what I'm going to do is import another component from the family, from the library. So I'm going to go to detail items. Well, I'm going to go to annotations. In the annotations, there's a break line. So that if I place it just above, and notice that the break line that has a masking region behind it that you can extend to remove any information. So I can then copy it over. So that is the break line. We're now going to start to place dimensions around the building. So the location of the dimensions are in the Annotate tab, the first panel there, the Dimensions panel. As well, you can go Quick Access at the top and just select Aligned Dimensions. So just to run through them, we have Aligned, which is the first one. So the Aligned Dimension places a dimension between parallel references at multiple points. So this would be the best option to use when running around any object because it will align the dimension parallel to the model. If you wanted to get a linear dimension, so you'd have to say 0, 90, 182, 70 degrees, you'd then use your linear dimension. The angular goes between two angled lines. The radial dimension will give us the radius of a circle or arc or curve. Same with the diameter will give us a diameter. Arc length will give us the total length of an arc. The spot elevation will display the elevation of a selected point. Same with the spot coordinates. So on your plan or site plan, if you wanted to find out what coordinate the corner of a building was placed at, you'd use your spot coordinate. You can also use the spot slope to place the slope of your roof or slab, so on. Okay, to get started, I'm going to choose the aligned dimension. So once you select one of the dimensions, you still have the choice to go back and change to a different dimension. Down here in the type selectors are different types of dimensions we can choose from. I'm going to stick with the diagonal 2.5 aerial. There in the options bar, we have a couple of options which we'll go into a lot more detail in a few moments. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to dimension the grid line. So to give us a bit more room, what I'm going to do is extend the grid line itself. So just select the grid line, select the open grip and just pull it back. Same with the left-hand side. So now we have more space to add dimensions. So now I'm going to go back, choose my aligned dimension. To get me started, first thing I'm going to select grid line 1. I'm going to dimension between grid line 1 and grid line 2, so I'll select grid line 2. But what I want to do is continue on down through each of the grid lines. So I remain in the dimension tool and just click on each grid line to have them selected. So you can see they're all joined in the same run. So the next step is then to position the dimensions where you'd like them to be located. And then finally, to place them, you'll click away from everything on the screen. So if I was to add here, I'd add another dimension, same here. So just move the cursor away from anything else that's not selected and click. If I press Enter, Escape, Spacebar, it'll just undo everything I've done. So we're going to do the same again for the left-hand side. A, B, C, D, E, and F. Align them to where I want the dimensions to be and click to place. So that's kind of the basics of the dimension. For us to then go around the building itself and dimension each individual opening could take quite a long time, especially on a large project. So we're able to do a quicker way of dimensioning the building. So go back into the aligned dimension. In the options bar here, we have our drop-down menu. So first off, that's where we can select what we want to dimension. So do you want it to start from the wall center line, the face of the wall, the center of the core, or the face of the core? So what we want to do now is we want to go for our wall faces. So when I go to dimension, I get the face of the wall and the opening. And to the face of the wall. It'll take us quite a bit of time to do that.